Yeah.
But with Bron, so they had 17 wins, got the number one pick in the draft the year before. They go to 35 wins. So impact on winning. The advanced stats weren't great. There was some efficiency stuff, but overall, a little under 21 points a game, a little under 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.6 steals. I think what stands out to me, number one, is the amount of that LeBron had. And we talked about Wembanyama and the hype around him as a prospect coming into the draft. I think by all accounts, I mean, LeBron lived up to the hype his rookie season. And I was researching this and I came across this great quote from Paul Silas. He talks about how essentially LeBron's teammates hated him. He says, their egos wouldn't allow it. I kept telling them, you have a chance to help one of the game's future stars, but they wouldn't embrace him. 35 games that year because of him. He's had some outstanding seasons since then, but that first one may have been the most impressive because of how he excelled in spite of the jealousy on his own team. And that quote
is a crazy quote.
It's a crazy quote. It's a crazy quote. I think about my rookie year, and LeBron was 3 years before me, I want to say. 03, 06. So 3 years before me. But I think about my rookie year coming in as a Duke kid, a cocky, some would call me abrasive, overconfident, maybe.
Personality.
Duke kid. Yes. Who had won National Player of the Year twice. And I felt a level of hatred. Now, I wouldn't call it jealousy, but a level of hatred. It was a different time in the NBA. It really was. It wasn't really till like my second or third year when Rashard Lewis came in that I felt like I had some OG vets really take me under their wing and teach me things. That rookie year, I felt so alone, and I felt it. And like Jameer and I talk about it. We joke about it. Hito has talked about it. He's joked about it. Pat Garrity is a friend of mine. Keon Dooling. Like, these guys did not like me. These guys really did not like me. And I felt that. And so I'm thinking about LeBron, who is the chosen one, who's the most hyped player potentially ever. He's being called the next MJ. He's being called a generational talent. He comes in. I can't imagine those vets at the time having a level of like, oh, come on, man, we'll take you under. No, dude, he had to battle through that and live up to the media expectations. That's why I think for me, he's got to be in the top 3 of the last 20 years.
What do you think the year where, like, this might be a hard question to answer, but like that shifted where it became like, okay, there's a really hyped prospect coming in and the vets understand now. So like the vet, there aren't very many of them, but the vets in San Antonio understand now what's going on. The vets in Dallas understood with Luka to a certain extent what was going on. Like when you have somebody coming in where you understand, like, this is not that you have to, be detrimental on everything or not detrimental, that you have to be deferential on everything, but that this is the future and you need to embrace the future rather than living in, 3 or 4 years earlier.
I think it was a gradual, I don't think I can point to 1 year. It was a gradual shift that happened. And I think there's a couple things there. I think in society, right, the sort of hazing and the bullying across the board, like it just became a taboo, right? And I think, from my rookie year to my 15th year, the responsibilities of a rookie and the rookie duties got less and less and less. And part of that was, I think, society, and not that the league got softer, but I think some of it too was that CBA in 2011, the updated CBA that they amended. They basically, for a long time, it just became apparent because of tax implications and roster construction that it would be better to sign young guys for 500, 750, whatever it was, than bring in a vet for 2.7. So the league got a lot younger. There were less vets in the locker room. that would be sort of like in a position to be jealous or, and have some animosity towards rookies. And, it got from like, you had like 9 rookie responsibilities to like, maybe you had 1. I mean, guys don't even have to bring donuts in anymore because every team has a chef preparing a gourmet breakfast every single morning. I used to have to go to fucking Krispy Kreme before every flight, before every practice, before every shoot around. And if me or James Augustine didn't bring in those Krispy Kreme donuts, there were consequences,
It's very
and
healthy.
So I think that feeling towards rookies, it just gradually sort of decreased. I mean, I was with Zion his rookie year. There was no like, this dude was so hyped. He was so hyped. Think about New Orleans is like throwing a parade basically when they get the number 1 pick. And I didn't feel that at all with anybody on our team towards Zion. And I think that's sort of a generational shift. And LeBron had to go through that. I'm sure CP to some degree had to go through that as well in New Orleans. But I think Wemby is in a position now where, partially because the team's all really young, good vets, good culture, all that stuff, going to have to deal with any of that stuff that LeBron had to deal with.
No, I think this adds to your point about LeBron being in the top 3. My like sort of guess, just thinking about it now, would be it wasn't like it was 1 year, but it was if you're in the league, whether you're a player, front office, whatever it is, and you watch what LeBron did to those Pistons teams, not his rookie year, but a couple of years later, just how he basically single-handedly took down this team full of vets. It's kind of like you're watching the future happen in real time, and you're like, oh, I want that. Like I want if I can get a player like that, and obviously we haven't had a player like that since, but like this is why you embrace the future on the chance that you can have a transcendent talent rather than, just building around vets all the time. The one other thing I wanted to bring up about this particular year was Carmelo also had a great season. Carmelo was 21-6-3 and they made the playoffs. And so I'm not arguing that Carmelo should have beaten him for rookie of the year because I think the point is right, but obviously it was a historic rookie class, but Carmelo was amazing that year. And I think he also should get credit for getting the team to the playoffs.
What's interesting though, I'm looking right now at this Cavs roster and from LeBron's rookie year. And there's, in terms of guys with 6 years or more in the NBA, there were only 5 guys: Michael Stewart, Kevin Ollie, Jeff McGinnis, Tony Batiste, Eric Williams, Ilgauskas, Ricky Davis, Jelani McCoy, and a guy I've never heard of, Bruno Sunday. I'm not sure how long he was on the roster. They all had 5 years. And then everybody else was in their 4th year or less. So it wasn't like they were super, super old. I'm very curious about these
Ricky Davis
older players. And this
is out of all the amazing things about LeBron, one of the most amazing things is like the players you just named. At a certain point, you're going to have a whole generation of NBA fans, no disrespect to all these guys, some of them had great careers, who have never heard of any of the guys LeBron played with the first 5 years, and he's doing what he's doing now still. Like that, the longevity piece of it, forgetting the dominance, longevity piece of it it's kind of hard to fathom. It's just unprecedented in any sport. It just doesn't happen to be able to keep this level for this amount of time.
Yeah. I think you can go. I think you can go. I think you can go to basketballreference.com and you go to that Cavs roster and you go to their stats and you can look at, you can sort them however you want to look. And I think if you just sort the field goal attempts, you can make some deductions
of who that quote was about.
We're maybe assholes to LeBron. Not to name names. We're not going to name names, but maybe I just name a few.